Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads, and especially all you gardeners out there? This is Mr. Weedman and Big Earl with the Grow Hour. Big Earl, my brother, how the hell are ya?
What's going on, man? I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You want to know why?
Why?
Because we're going to talk about hash, and we're bashing with hash with our friend Wolfman, who's back in the house for a fourth time, the Quattro. What's up, Wolfman? Say hello to everybody.
Hey, what's up, Wee Man? What's up, Big Earl? Nice to see you guys, man.
Great to have you back, my friend. And we're super stoked because more about hash, but a different format this time. But before we get started, what's everybody smoking on? I'm smoking something new you gave me. It's a cart. And we're gonna go into later, but what flavor am I smoking here?
You're smoking on some wild strawberry.
Wild strawberry in my little glassy thing here.
That's pretty cool.
I still gotta get me one of them.
I'd like to thank the Zenco for that. Thank you very much, Wendy and Paul. Appreciate you guys up there in Canada sending me one down. It's really nice to smoke out of. Really easy. You just press the button. Fug comes right through the glass, and you just drink it down, or you can put a straw in there. It's very nice. Ooh, Wolfie.
You taste the butane at all? That was the big thing that you were talking about.
That is the big thing. I'm looking forward to actually not having that fucking nasty taste in my mouth, which I have not had. And you gave me. I've had this for about a month now, and I've tried it a few times, and I have not had the butane taste in my mouth.
Well, that's
well done, my friend.
I
well
try
done.
very hard.
Well done.
Try very hard.
Big Earl, what are you smoking on, my brother?
I am smoking on. So when we were talking right before the show, I dropped I don't know if you guys noticed. I dropped my whole fucking grinder on the ground.
I thought I heard something.
Yeah, I'm smoking some Fat Sweaty Bulldog floor weed.
Nice.
I wasn't just gonna let it go, you know. I picked out a few hairs. I think I got them most though.
Sorry, dog hair. Dog hair is dog hair. We got enough. We got dogs. We know what it's like to smoke it, eat it.
Delicious.
In honor of Wolfie, what are you smoking on, my brother?
I'm smoking on the same cart you are, my brother. It's like we're smoking together.
Nice. I love it. It's so nice, man. Like I said, I keep it on my bar, and during the day, you know, like towards the end of the day, if I don't want to roll a joint or anything like that, I just push that button, and I think of you.
One or
so
two.
Thank you for the card. I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother.
So how you been? How's everything been since the last time we talked? It's been over a year, and you've been on a few great episodes with us, all about hash. We had you on episode 43, 48. And episode 50 with our friend Terp Fiend. So how things been going?
Things been going great, man. Just been growing and making hash, of course. Growing this guy's strains mostly, but I'm also growing a bunch of Terp Fiend strains lately too. So gotta help support the homies. Besides that, I got no complaints, man. No complaints.
What do you got in the hopper right now from Big Earl and Terp?
Oh boy, let's see. Big Earl's got some wild strawberry in the tent that I'm kind of doing a hunt for. I got 4 different phenos I'm hunting through. See if I could find some strawberry terps. Really funky profile right now. Terp Fiend, I got a strain called Lotus Petals, which is an apple chem cross, and a strain called Danked Out, which has his banana punch mixed in it. It's supposed to be stupid.
Oh.
And then I just got a bunch of clones from Big Earl too, which is he's going to have to help me on this. We got the Eastside OG, the Drunk Rider 23, my absolute favorite lemon strain ever. And we got the Platinum Lemon Cherry Gelato and the Green Crack. Green Crack. So I'm excited. Yeah. I got all kinds of fun stuff.
Earl, that's a first from you, Green Crack, that I've heard. That's a first. And the Lemon Cherry Gelato.
Yeah.
So those two right there are very, very interesting too, because Green Crack is such a fucking uppity strain. And I've smoked some Green Crack before, and man, most 99% daytime. I mean, that's the stuff you go out and party with, you hang out with, your, whatever. Daytime weed, it is heady. It is a head rush. From the Green Crack that I've smoked in the past. So I hope I can get a couple nuggies of that. And then also the Lemon Cherry Gelato. I'd love to get a couple nuggies of that too.
Yeah. So, that's all fresh out of tissue culture. So You know, I haven't actually run them all yet, but soon.
I cannot wait to see some pictures from Wolfie over here throwing us some pics of these new strains that he's going to be growing. And you're 100% right about Drug Rider 23. I still have a little bit left of that phenomenal strain.
My absolute favorite strain.
Spot on when you need it.
I grew 4
straight lemon haze
plants from my last harvest, and I pressed out almost 100 grams of flower rosin I've been smoking on.
Jeez, that's crazy. I love it. So we appreciate you coming back on, Wolfie, to talk about hash. Beyond, and we're going beyond. We're going far beyond the rosin talk now. So, and like I said, if you haven't listened, and I gotta mention this because we haven't talked live in a minute. We've DM'd on social media and shit like that, but we haven't talked live. I've had some people say about those 3 episodes. If you ever want to know anything about hash, those are the episodes to listen to. And if anybody in the field of doing shows, I've heard from multiple people going, if you want to know what it is, just watch the YouTube channel, all 3, and you will know everything you want to know.
Yep.
So well done.
Just hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah. Well,
you are great on Instagram too, by the way. And you've answered a lot of questions for people on the Vipers channel that have talked and asked, and you're very knowledgeable of what you do, man. So I appreciate all the love you give us and coming back on the show. So I'm going to let Big Earl take it over here while I just get a little wakey bakey.
Right on.
Yeah, no, we talked about everything rosin, and it wasn't too long ago we were hanging out, Wolfman and I, and we were talking beyond the rosin because we were talking about the carts and contamination and just everything. A lot of the stuff we're actually going to talk about today. And the 2 other extraction methods we're going to talk about today is BHO and then distillate a little bit, which I know you hate distillate. But we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to let people know about it a little bit. But it's going to be nice because there's a lot of misinformation, like you were telling me, and so we're here for, to help people medicate themselves educationally.
Medicate better, safer, cleaner, more efficiently. All the above.
Yes, exactly. Single source. Grow it, press it, do your own shit. But BHO just gets such a shitty rap, So
that's because most of the time it's made improperly.
Yeah. Well, that's what I don't know if I've talked about the first time or the first 10 times I made BHO was a glass tube and wearing like an oven mitt and blasting into a Pyrex dish using warm water to try to purge it out. Being like, little sparkle isn't a big idea. It's a big problem, And it's come far from then, You could definitely taste the butane in that.
I remember those. I remember tasting a lot of butane in my life. Oof.
Yeah. But then when it was new, it was like, who cared? Because it would get you so high.
It would.
So the first time you take a dab is like a day you remember.
We didn't know any better back then either. That's 20 years ago. We didn't know shit back then.
Yeah.
We weren't spoiled like we are now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, well, let's just start with the distillate then. Tell us why you hate it.
Oh, distillate. Where should we begin? Let's first start talk about what distillate actually is. Distillate's actually made from BHO or even ethanol extraction. You get first your crude oil, and then it's put into a short path distillation set after winterization, which we'll talk about, and it is distilled just like distilled whiskey. So the thing I don't like about distillate is you can basically make that product out of any kind of garbage you sweep up off your floor. And most dispensaries and large grows are going to use this to their advantage to make a high potency product that people will still buy. Otherwise, they're going to have to throw all that shit away. And they obviously don't want to do that. That's a lot of money for them. So they make distillate out of it.
Yeah.
It is pure THC. There's no terpenes. There's no other cannabinoids in it. It is pure distilled THC. 100% damn near pure. I don't like it.
When it's done right. When it's done well. Sometimes people have 70% distillate, and it's like,
that's scary.
that was crazy though. But I mean, you got to think. Talking about distillate is been around for a hot minute now. I mean, I remember first smoking it like 2014, 2015 is when I first got distillate here in Chicago, coming over from the West Coast, and it was tar, black as fucking dog tar. I mean, I'm talking about it was so black, and the processing where it was coming from was just horrible, you know, and it wasn't very high THC, the stuff we were getting early days. By 2017, I saw a totally difference between what I was seeing in 2014 and 2015. And this is distillate. I'm not talking about dabs. I'm not talking about wax. I'm not talking about shadow. I'm just talking about distillate, oil, the crude oil, right? By 2017, I saw a clarity difference, though. I think the West Coast started learning, and you started seeing it look like gold. Yep. Like it was that golden color, and the potency got higher. Like I went from like, let's say 60s in that early 2014, 2015 to 2017, 2018, where it was getting like 95 to 98%.
Yep.
And it was gold. It was such a difference in the learning process versus also street distillate versus now that was being done in infusion processes in California at big facilities, not maybe big facilities, but bigger corporation facilities where they spent the money on the good equipment too. And equipment came a long way. What I've seen. So go ahead. Sorry.
Where were we?
Yeah, no, that's so. Yeah, we're just going through the distillation process a little bit.
Yeah, just for what I've seen. So what have you seen in the Midwest versus the East Coast from what I've saw in that era? You've been seeing it probably a little bit longer than I have. So this is my experience. So just what did you see? How the history of distillate a little bit?
It started out the same way over here, only it started probably about 2008 when we legalized for medical. Me and the wife both had our cards, and you'd go into the store and it'd just be an overload of all this crap, and you'd see these little containers of distillate, and it was very dark, it was very sappy, it was almost impossible to smoke it, and it tasted like shit, but it got you so incredibly high. Nobody cared at the time because we had nothing like that, man. It was like you're used to drinking wine coolers and you start drinking moonshine. It's like, this is the best stuff in the world. You know, it was just a slap of the senses back then. But now as we've progressed and we've learned and the equipment has evolved so rapidly and the process itself has evolved so rapidly to the point where they could isolate the individual cannabinoids in the BHO, like the CBDs, the THC, pull out the terpenes separate, and then reintroduce those naturally into a distillate vape cart. Yes, that would be somewhat of a good thing, but to me, that stuff is too processed, and it's too easy for them to be selling you a bad product that you don't know because it's been polished, shined, and covered in gold.
Yeah.
To me, distillate is just
interesting.
It's cheap in Michigan for a reason. You can get distillate carts for like $5 a piece for 1 milliliter carts. It's stupid cheap here. And there's a reason for that, because if they didn't sell them that cheap, they wouldn't sell them at all. That's all trash. It's all garbage material they can't do anything else with.
I know people from Illinois that'll go there and buy like 25 distillate carts for like $100, and I'm like,
and that's crazy to me.
They're like, oh man, that's all. Yeah, me too.
you could not pay me to smoke that shit. Honestly, you could not pay me $100 to take a hit off of that. Not nowadays. Not after everything I do, and I know. No chance in hell, dude.
Right.
Because I know what it is, and I know the bad stuff that they do to get it to that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that bad stuff they do to it?
Whoa. So I'm going to say a horrible 3-letter word, and it's called CRC. CRC, or color remediation chamber, is a term used for a filtration device used in a closed-loop extractor. Now, this filtration device is filled with media like activated carbon, diatomaceous earth, silica, and the really bad one, bentonite clay, or T5 clay, which is also known as bleaching clay. If you ever smoke CRC BHO, it tastes like bleach, and that's why, because they're putting it through this filtration that pulls all the bad stuff out and shines it up really nice to get it ready, either to sell because they couldn't sell it before, or they're getting it ready for further processing, such as distillation. It lightens the color.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It removes fats, lipids, waxes, but you're passing all of your stuff over a bleaching clay. Does that sound safe? Does that sound like something you want to smoke? Sure as fuck not me. So
Nope.
if you have
Not at all.
if you have to do all of that to the material that you're working with, why would you be making hash out of that material? It comes down to making money. People going to a store,
Profits and margins.
Profits and margins.
Profits and margins.
You go to a
Profits
store.
and margins.
You go to a store and you have no idea what you're getting. You might not have a lot of money to spend. Well, you see these big numbers, these big THC numbers, and a $5, $10 price tag, buy 3 for 10, whatever the fuck it says. You're all over that. But you don't know what you're smoking. You don't know how bad that is for you. You don't know that that's not actual medicine anymore. It's just THC. You're just a stoner. You're not a medical patient. There's a huge difference. Huge difference.
Very big difference. Yes. Very big difference.
And anything,
as stoners, we should want to smoke the medical stuff because that's going to be better.
Clean. Clean stuff.
The standards should be higher for medical. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
and anything in the edibles or cartridges, unless it's labeled otherwise, is probably distillate.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing. Like,
absolutely.
You know, like if you're eating a gummy, probably distillate, unless it's labeled otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah, unless it says RSO on there or hash rosin or something like that for your gummies. But here, when it comes to distillate and it comes to the market, you know, it is in some states it's still cheap, and it's very cheap. In some states it's not cheap yet because biomass is hard to get in certain states. So certain states you still have to spend with taxes and all that shit. Like here in Illinois, a 2-gram cart's costing you $130.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
$130 for distillate.
I should move.
Right. That's why people go to Michigan to pick up their shit. But going to medical now, which you were mentioning about medical's being forgotten about. Every state medical cards are down, medical sales are down, medical patients are down, medical stores are closing because the government doesn't give a fuck about medical because it doesn't make them any money. Yeah. But of course, us as patients get hurt the most. In Illinois, it was supposed to be 2 different brands. You were supposed to have medical dispensaries only and recreational dispensaries only. And they were supposed to be separated. Once COVID hit, that stopped and no one cared about it anymore. And they just allowed it all to go to whatever. So if there's still only 52 med stores here in Illinois and they're combined with recreational, and they were supposed to be different weed. It was supposed to be medical weed and recreational weed. That never happened either. So why, as a medical patient, the only reason why people stay as a med patient is the taxes. Here in Illinois, that's 2% versus anywhere between 20% to 37%. So that it doesn't matter now. People can't get in trouble for it if it's recreational. So why get a med card where I can't get any trouble because you ain't going to arrest me anyway? So it's losing its luster. New York's having a huge problem right now. Michigan, you guys are down under $1 million in sales for the first time ever in medical. Crazy.
It's it just keeps the market up here is just it's getting more and more, saturated. But there is still a market for like the dank You know, like people are finding their brands, they follow their brands, they buy, you know, like it's like anything else, you know, it's just normalizing a little bit more, or like the market itself is like normalizing and balancing out a little bit more. But there's still just crazy fucking price wars from everyone.
Yeah,
it's all cardboard doo-doo. So
I mean, it's just now. It's just like here you can get edibles too in your state for like $5 for 100 milligrams. No, actually 200 milligrams. Sorry, I've seen pricing for here in Illinois. If it's not on sale, regular front end price is anywhere between $20 to $30 for 100 milligram of just straight distillate, or RSO, or or hash rosin. So distillate here in Illinois is still so expensive per liter. Rosin is out of fucking control. So that's why your price still so high here in Illinois versus Michigan, which also you have an overgrowth and overabundance. So as we forget about medical, recreational's taking over because everyone's making your state too, man. They're going to fucking go up to 30, fucking your Governor Whitmer, who I actually liked when she was running for president. I thought she was cool until she wants to raise that fucking tax to 32%.
Yeah.
Do you need it? You did.
10%.
You did $3 billion in sales, over $3 billion in sales. You raked in 400 fucking bazillion dollars in tax revenue that now every section, every community, municipality is getting money from that. How much more do you want? How much more does it's the government's just going to keep on taxing the shit out of it. Worse than cigarettes, worse than gas, worse than the lotto. It's just going to just keep on. And then people are just going to go right back to the caregivers again, or to the traditional market or the black market, because it's just going to price yourself out. And then
they destroyed that up here now.
Yeah,
stores are out for most of the stores. Even now the one I've had since I left my shop that I worked at for a long time. That shop closed. The other shop I was going to closed, and now this third shop that I found is closing because people can't. What's awesome about some of the stuff we just talked about is that if you need weed to help you sleep, and you can't spend much money on it, you can spend $5 up here and get enough medicine you can spend $10, $20 and get enough for a whole month.
Yep.
To sleep all month, you know what I mean? That's awesome. But when you're taking this distillate and you're putting it into the stuff, to the medications, somebody's taking it as a medication, and people don't really understand what it is or how it got there or why the one that says rosin is 3 times the price per milligram of medicine, and that's when it starts to it gets shitty. It's shitty. It's like over the consumer just isn't educated on it.
No, not at all.
It gives weed a bad name.
Nope. Wolfie, is there any other advantages to distillate though, or disadvantages? Let's say.
I guess.
And thank you. I'm very high, by the way. Thank you.
That's good. I think one advantage of distillate is the fact that it is so strong. It is damn near pure, damn near 100% nowadays. So from a edibles or vape cart point of view, you know exactly what you have to work with. You can figure out your math, your numbers, and figure out your profit, because that's what they care about. Disadvantage?
Yeah, here in Illinois, if you're not 89 to 92%, 93% because of the price here, you're not getting bought.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to consistently have that percentage all the time in all these growers here in Illinois? I'm telling you, I know the market. I study it every day. All right. If you're not at that percentage, and people want even higher, if you're anything lower than 88%, you are not getting bought because of the price point in this state. Maybe other states you might get bought. If it's like $20 a fucking 2 gram or something like that, you might be getting bought, or 1 gram. Here in Illinois, no way.
Huh. And that's bad.
Go ahead, Wolfie. Sorry, the disadvantage of distillate.
I think one of the disadvantages is you don't know how bad of a product you're actually smoking. Distillate is not, to me, it is not a clean product. It is not a good product. It should not be so widely available and accepted. It should be more of a last choice for people. It's true. It should be a last choice.
Even great distillate tastes like plastic.
It does.
So
it doesn't matter who you are.
If you smoke,
It's like taking a shot of Malort, let's just say, here in Illinois.
Straight distillate. It can be fantastic distillate. The 99%, like there's not much room for anything else in there but THC.
Yep.
And it literally will look and smell and taste, process, and taste like plastic.
And
it's like,
choke. You will choke and cough, and you'll probably pop it.
Yeah, you'll be high as fuck.
But you'll be high as fuck, yeah.
Yeah, I smoked that 98 or 99% that a brewery guy gave me to try, and it tasted like shit. But I feel like I can go. I feel like the fucking going through a fucking wall. The fucking fruit juice guy fucking running through the wall. Fucking dude, I was ready to like run through walls. Like the Juggernaut with the fucking helmet on. Blah, 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 blah. Kool-Aid man. You know what I'm saying? That's where I was ready to go. That's why, I mean, I was fucking jacked, man. I was like, whoa.
That's how you beat.
And then he gave me the rest.
Person.
Holy fuck, man. I was fucking going brazy. You know, I was like ready to, like I said, like the Kool-Aid man, run through walls and shit, dude. I was like, holy fuck, man. I had never smoked no shit like that before. And so let's go on to what we're here for. What I'm smoking on right now, that was very well done from you on the BHO. And let's keep it simple and light, just because we know we get too deep, the newbies might not understand. If we get over deep, into it, we might lose some people. So let's keep it simple, and then go over what the actual closed loop process is versus open, maybe, because I have no clue what the fuck open and closed loops are, except for in business. So tell me a little about the loop-de-loops.
Well, let's start with open first, because that's a lot more simple. Open blast is almost exactly as it sounds. It's an open-ended tube that you stuff with material and literally use a solvent, in this case butane, to liquefy all of the essential oil off the plant matter and separate it. And then it pours out the bottom. You evaporate all of the butane, and you're left with a crude oil that you can process into all kinds of other things. Pretty simple process, but I just have to say, along with all of this explanation, I don't want anybody at home to try this stuff. It is extremely, extremely dangerous. You can blow yourself up. Butane itself is heavier than air, which means at any temperature, it floats down to the bottom of the room where it condenses and collects. A simple spark, like a static spark from you touching something, is all it takes to ignite that, and you go boom. My neighbor across the street blew himself up last year. He's got third-degree burns all over his arm and his neck from the shit. And he blew his garage up, which he had to get replaced. I think he got a fine from the fire department as well, because it was a caused explosion. So, that being said...
Oh, my goodness.
That being said...
You said 1%, right?
1% oxygen is all it needs to ignite. 1%. So even in a closed loop system, if you have a leak somewhere in one of your valves, one of your hoses, and it's sucking in a little bit of air, 1% is all you need. And in a closed loop system, you just created a giant pipe bomb. So this stuff is very dangerous, and unless you know way too much about this shit, it should not be attempted. Because even if you don't blow yourself up, you're going to poison yourself with butane poisoning. Doesn't matter how long you process it, what YouTube videos you watch, this shit is dangerous, and you are working with chemicals that will kill you, either by flame, explosion, or inhalation, or chemical poisoning. It is nothing to screw around with. Absolutely nothing.
We need that jackass warning sign that do not try this at home.
About 6. I'll get one put on my forehead. So, a closed loop system is something that all of our dispensaries and large grow ops are going to be using. And that's for the reason that they get to recycle the butane that they're using in the process, because it's a closed loop. Everything starts out in your butane tank. It is then forced with usually nitrogen pressure, because everything is at sub-zero temperatures. Sub-zero is -40 or below Fahrenheit. Absolutely freezing. It will burn you if you touch it. It's the temperature of dry ice. So everything is chilled, cooled, put under vacuum. You use nitrogen as your pressure, because when butane gets that cold, it stops evaporating and becomes just a straight liquid. There's no pressure, there's nothing evaporating, and you need something in a passive closed loop to move this fluid. So we add nitrogen, it moves from the tank to our material column, which is surrounded with dry ice, packed full of all our buds or our trim or whatever the hell we're extracting. The butane passes through there. Then, if you're using a CRC filter, which I do not, it goes through that, gets filtered, does its thing, and then goes into the base where it is all collected. Once it's collected, everything's closed off. You're able to change temperatures in a passive system, and the butane begins to boil. Once it boils, you condense it back into the original tank it came from, so you can use it again for another extraction. And you usually reclaim about 80 to 90% of the butane used in a closed loop system.
Wow.
Which is why...
That's crazy.
Which is why,
way better than open blast. It was 100%.
in open blast, you're losing all of it, because basically you're open blasting into an open pan, usually a nice tall pie dish. I got about a 4-inch one. And then you're putting it on some warmth and evaporating it outside so you don't blow up. So you cannot reuse that stuff.
Or light your grapes on fire.
Your drapes will get on fire, is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, no, you don't light your grapes on fire.
Yeah, you would hope that's all that happened. You'll see.
If you react quickly, I don't know. This is all hearsay.
Well,
if you react quickly, sometimes it's not a huge deal.
The only quick reaction that will happen is the initial explosion. The fire comes after the explosion. So all those vapors that have collected inside the room that you're blasting in when you shouldn't be inside at all with any of this shit is just the perfect setup to keep all that shit together so it could go pop like a balloon. And then your fires start.
There you go.
And if you're not knocked unconscious by the explosion, if you're not knocked unconscious from that, then you're going to sit there and burn to death, which is great.
So I guess that would be a disadvantage too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was all just a joke. I was making a joke because I lit my curtains on fire once making butane, but nothing blew up. Luckily,
Can I ask you a question though before we go to the next one?
Absolutely.
Is there such thing as edible butane?
Edible butane? Well,
yes.
Butane in itself is classified by the FDA, along with ethanol, as a food-safe solvent. Food-safe hydrocarbon, to be exact. So, this is used in things like, it's very similar to propane. In closed-loop extraction, a lot of times it's very common for people to use a propane-butane mix. And that's because both of these fuels, both of these hydrocarbons, are food-safe, considered food-safe. If you were to use something that's not food-safe, you're going to end up with contaminants.
Doesn't sound so food safe, though.
I don't believe it's food safe because, they work on a percentage type thing, and it's like, only so much percentage, and you're under the allowed ppms and all that bullshit to pass their certification. It's the gray area these people work in that poisons us. What's acceptable to them is not an acceptable amount of poison in my body from a medical grade product that I'm buying from a store. But it's acceptable to you because you're passing the state tests and you're still able to sell it and make your damn money. And you're poisoning the people who
profits and margins.
It's
just crazy because this is all in our food that we're trying to fix now, right? We've been eating this shit for fucking 20, 30 years.
Yep.
And it's going into our weed, which is a plant that was given to us by those angels above. You know what I'm saying? So we're poisoning our weed now too with stuff that we shouldn't be ingesting.
Yeah,
that's why I ask. That's why I ask, because a lot of times when you hear people say, well, we use edible grade butane, I'm like, you're not supposed to eat butane, period.
You could though.
How's it edible?
Many types of butane.
So that's why I'm asking. Because like you said, a lot of distillate is made with butane, right? And it's in our edibles. And some people who make BHO, use BHO to make their rosin with and stuff like that, which is going in edibles instead of press, because it's easier, quicker, probably a little bit easier to make and cost effective to make.
Yep.
So it's going in our edibles. We're eating it. And some people aren't cleaning it like we talked about good. No. So this is what I'm trying to get at here. I'm so glad to have you on to talk about this, because I don't smoke a lot of, I smoke flower and I smoke your hash.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Because I know where it's coming from, but it's just very hard for me. When we had this conversation a long time ago, it's very hard for me to put, I smoked cigarettes for fucking 20 years. You know, how much fucking lighters have I used in my life, and how much butane have I eaten? You know, is like, how good are my lungs right now? You know, at my age, you know what I'm saying? So that's putting something in your body still to this day, which is not just coming from the original plant, you know, just smoking flour or making butter with flour instead of using, you know, any kind of distillate with edibles. You know, I do the old school way. I make it with butter, you know, or coconut oil, and I infuse it through the flower, the plant, and I eat it that way. Earl, you like our edibles, don't you, Earl?
Yeah, I eat a lot of your edibles.
So that's what I'm trying to. It gets a bad rap. You know, why does BHO get a bad? Distillate gets a bad rap from the people that know. You know what I'm saying? Like yourself, the educated people that have been seeing it around for a very long time. Why does BHO get a bad rap?
BHO gets a bad rap because of what all these people are doing to it. They're not creating a clean BHO anymore. They're filtering it, they're altering it, they're remediating it in order to get a sellable product. Something that looks good, but isn't really good.
Interesting. So interesting.
Yeah. So you brought up before winterization. Tell us a little bit about that. I didn't know. I don't know anything about that.
Winterization is a filtration method used for cleaning crude oil. Crude oil is the absolute first oil you take right out of the extractor, or right when it's done evaporating all your butane for a open blast. Crude oil is what you make all your other products from. Crumble, shatter, batter, diamonds and sauce, all that shit comes from this crude oil. It's your base oil that you're starting with. From there, you have two options. There's single solvent winterization and second solvent winterization. Single solvent winterization is going to be using the solvent that you extracted with. In this case, butane. You're going to use the butane itself to solidify and get the fats, lipids, waxes, and chlorophyll to precipitate in the actual solution so it can be filtered out. A second solvent winterization is going to be after you evaporate all of your butane, you're going to be adding a second solvent, in this case usually ethanol, which is a food grade kosher ethanol that you can drink basically, but it's 200 proof, so you wouldn't want to do that. Never use isopropyl for anything except cleaning, because even at very high temperatures, you're leaving residue in your end material. If you're extracting with isopropyl, if it's getting into your material at all, if it's touching anything, no matter what you do, even with a vacuum oven, that shit is still in there. And isopropyl is a denatured alcohol. You are poisoning yourself. I don't use it for anything. I don't even like it in my house. I use kosher ethanol for cleaning, kosher ethanol for making RSO, because if there's residuals left over, it's just alcohol. And it's something that's drinkable. It's not poisoning you. There's nothing added to it.
So when you clean all your equipment, you don't use. What do you use then? Do you use ethanol, or do you use? You said edible alcohol. I'm kind of stoned, so caught me off guard there for a second.
So a food grade ethanol, you could look at that as a 151 Bacardi. 151 Bacardi is a food grade ethanol. It's the same exact thing. It's just different terms, different names. Gotcha. I use lab grade stuff. I posted some pictures a while back, but I get it from that place. It's like the Walmart of lab supplies. You can get anything you want. It's 100% pure, 200 proof. You can't even smell this shit because it's just battery acid, basically. But it's pure.
Oh, jeez.
It's pure and it's clean and it's safe for human consumption.
That's the big thing.
That's the big thing.
So,
especially at home, if you're doing winterization or anything else and you have alcohol involved, it's a very good idea to use Everclear or 151, depending on whatever state you're in. The problem with those is they contain water. So depending on what you're using it for, you could actually be extracting extra stuff into your end product, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
so
going back to winterization.
Does the winterization
Go ahead.
Does that affect like what you make then? So like you have the two types of winterization? Do you have to do one certain type to make like a shatter or a different type to make a crumble or
Nope.
You know, different stuff like that?
So
the consistencies?
The consistencies are something completely different. That is done just by different processing. The winterization is more of a filtration technique. It is just used to remove contaminants. It's not used to make the final product. It is just a filter.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. So how do you do that then? Sorry, do you have more on winterization?
No,
that's what like making the shatter and the crumble and everything.
Oh yeah, that's
interesting. You can make all of that out of BHO.
Yep. All those consistencies come from BHO, from that very first crude oil. From that step, you can turn it into any one of those products just by doing this or doing that. But that's a whole nother like six shows right there.
Perfect. Yeah, I love it. We got you booked for a couple of years now, so we're good.
I got a guest that you guys could have too. You know, he's my mentor. He'd be a good guest. I don't know if he'd do it though.
Ooh, that'd be a good roundtable discussion.
Oh, absolutely.
With your mentor.
Cool. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I'd have to hit him up. He's been in the business for 15, 20 years. He runs his own lab and stuff, you know, the whole nine, dude. The guy, you can't even talk to him. He's so fucking smart. It's stupid.
I have people like that where you're just like, damn.
That'd be great. That'd be a good learning process. Good, like just sitting and listening and getting more high than I already am right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people hear honey oil. And they think that that's like everybody's had that honey oil, that oily type of BHO, especially if you smoked it back in the day. That's all it was. It was like Kari, basically.
Yeah.
And so when you hear honey oil, you don't think of the shatters, the sauces, the sugars, the crumbles, you know, all that other stuff, you know.
So
diamonds are forever.
Yeah, all of it.
A little secret here. The honey oil consistency, that thick sap comes from contaminants. Fats, lipids, waxes, chlorophyll, plant matter, all of that in your end product, in your BHO, makes it not only darker, but also keeps it runny, keeps it sappy, like tree sap, like honey oil. For a nice, clean, stable BHO, you will process that and you can get it to turn into anything. If it's too dirty, it will stay in that sappy, wet, nasty, hard to smoke forever. There's nothing even I can do to it to clean it up. Well, that's not true, but we won't go there.
Yeah. Whole other show.
Yeah.
When we talk about the consistencies. So, What about something that's awesome? Yeah, clean.
Hey, cheers.
Something that's awesome. Yeah, Weedman's holding up
Oh, that's a good.
the distillate card. I got one of yours too. This is the White
This
Widow
ain't
one. Real
distillate.
good.
This ain't. What
Or
is
the
this? This ain't.
BHO card.
This is rosin. BHO rosin.
Well, when it's BHO, it's called a resin. Anything
There
solventless
you go.
is
Oh, so this is
rosin.
resin.
Yep. Anything solventless is
Thank you for
rosin.
clarification.
Anything with a solvent is resin. No.
Hey. So how do we say I go to I want to make my own carts, and I get some BHO, however I get it, or some distillate, whatever it is. Let's do whichever one you choose. How do I get that into a cart? Like, what are some advice, or like somebody wants to make their own? They say, hey, tired of this bullshit. I want to have some organic terps. I want it to be flavorful. I want to know, that my shit's good. How do you like to get your carts going?
So let's start with distillate because that's easy. Distillate, just in the process, is already gone through decarboxylation, which is the process of breaking the THCA down into delta 9 THC, making it psychoactive. As THCA, it is non-psychoactive. You could smoke it all day. Well, not really. You could ingest it all day, and it's not going to get you stoned because it's non-psychoactive. Once we add heat, in example, decarboxylation or decarb, we activate the delta 9 THC. That A, which stands for acid, breaks off and creates our wonderful compound that we all love so much. So with distillate, you don't need to decarb because it's already gone through that process through the distillation. It's already reached those temperatures and far above it. With BHO, that's a little more of a process. You have to decarb it first, and you'll see a lot of information online about certain numbers to use and this and that. The fact of the matter is, decarboxylation can be seen with the naked eye under the right circumstances. I put all my wax in small little containers. They're 25 milliliter beakers. They're about that tall. And I put a couple grams in at each one. I don't overfill them, and that's so I could watch it and get a full, even decarb for all of the wax that I put in there. It bubbles, just like when you crack a fresh beer, open a pop, you see all them bubbles floating to the top? That is a form of decarboxylation. That is the CO2 in that pop decarboxylating. Very cool. The same thing is happening in our wax, and on a magnetic stir plate with a small beaker and my little tiny flashlight, you can see this process happening. And over time, you get to learn when it speeds up, when it slows down, exactly what temperatures you really need to use because it's not as high as you think it is. You're able to pull that stuff off and create a fully active oil that you add very little terpenes. The amount of terpenes I'm adding to your cart are by the drop, bro. I'm not measuring that shit by the milliliter or nothing. It's literally about 5 grams of wax and like 40 drops of terpenes. It is nothing in there. Everything that is in that cart is BHO. With just a splash of flavor.
Oh, it's crazy.
Splash of flavor.
Crazy.
That's why when you get to the end of that cart, it will burn clean. There will not be a black ring in the bottom of that shit because it's clean. It's pure.
That's crazy.
I got a few like that too that are clean. They're empty and they're clean. I mean, it looks like you could just refill them.
And I do. I refill my carts some of them up to 10 times. The last one, This one I'm using, I think this is number 7. I had it over at Big Earl's house a few weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. I think I was on number 5 back then or something. Now, here's a secret about me. The only way that I smoke BHO nowadays is in a cart. And I will not smoke anyone else's BHO. I don't care who you are, unless you're my mentor. He has sent me plenty of BHO.
Well, you know where it came from. That's why.
I know where it came
So-
from. Exactly.
Yep. You know who's making it, and if it's your mentor, then you know it's good because he taught you. So, and I'm smoking it too. So your mentor who taught you.
I know it's done right.
Oh, there it is. What else? Anything else, Wolfie? Anything else that we missed in this BHO distillate?
Man,
Debate?
I don't really think so, guys. You know, we wanted to keep it kind of simple, and I probably blabbed on a little bit too much there, but shit always happens. We get high.
No, hell no. I loved every minute of it because there was a lot of shit in there I never heard of. So, and a lot I didn't know. So, and a lot of stuff I kind of knew, but a lot of stuff I learned today. So I appreciate you. Plug away. Tell us where everyone can find you at.
I'm always on Instagram. Find me at Wolfman. That's about it. I'm on Big Earl's Discord. You can find me there, but I'm not really on there too much. Mainly on Instagram. Shoot me a message.
And Wolfman is at W01F.MAN.
Yep. And it's a lowercase W.
Yeah. There you go. Check out Wolfman, and when he posts some of the pictures of his flour that he's going to be turning into hash, and when he shows you pictures of his hash, you get drooly because it looks so good and pretty. And we appreciate you, man, coming back on. We'd love to have you 6 more times because you said there's 6 more shows. We need to learn about all these different ways to process all this shit. So you're always welcome on, my friend. You're always welcome on this show to come talk some smack, talk some shit, and have some good times and talk about hash. So, Big Earl, man, there was something though that you need though to make BHO rosin. Yeah, besides decarboxylation, there's something that we missed in that process though. Yeah. Maybe you and Wolfie can help me out with that. What is that shit we fucking need?
Yeah, I mean we bring it up a lot because it's kind of obvious, right, Wolfman?
Yeah, you know, I hate to keep saying it, but you have to go to your local store. You got to make sure it's 100% organic because we want to keep it clean. Whatever's in our products, you just load that shit with CalMag and you will be fine with whatever you are doing. Whatever you are doing.
100% CalMag.
100% CalMag.
Everybody out there in the world, we love you. Don't forget the CalMag. Peace! Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.